The hum of Lagos traffic was still distant, and the city's streets, slick from the early morning rain, shimmered under the streetlights. Michael was already on the move, not to a boardroom or a meeting, but to something far more personal, something that could shatter everything. His heartbeat was fast, a storm brewing inside him. He had been working on an important deal for weeks, but today he wasn't thinking of the millions at stake. Today, his thoughts were only on Ruth, his wife, the woman he thought he knew better than anyone. As his luxury car sped through the streets, the humid air seemed to press against him, thick and heavy, almost suffocating. He could still smell the familiar scent of her perfume on his clothes from the night before. He had planned this surprise for weeks, to come home early, to rekindle the spark, to remind Ruth of the love they shared. But as the penthouse came into view, an unexplainable anxiety gripped him. He walked into the apartment to find it oddly quiet. The lights were off, except for a soft glow coming from the living room. Ruth had always loved to keep things warm, cozy, but tonight, it felt cold. A small sound, a laugh, echoed from the living room. Michael froze. The voice wasn't Ruth's. He pushed the door open slowly. There, in his living room, his wife was sitting on the couch, laughing with another man. Their faces were inches apart, the intimacy in their gestures undeniable. "I thought I could change him," Ruth whispered, her voice full of regret. "But I can't keep pretending anymore." Michael stood there, his heart sinking, unable to breathe. The betrayal hit him like a physical blow. His wife, the woman he trusted with everything, was in another man's arms. Before now, Michael's life was not always this way. He had grown up in a small, crumbling neighborhood in Lagos, where poverty was a constant. His mother, the heart of the family, worked long hours in a market stall, trying to make ends meet. His father, absent and distant, never provided the stability Michael longed for. Growing up, Michael learned early that life wasn't fair. He remembered the cracked walls of their home, the sound of the rain leaking through the roof, the cold meals. He often walked barefoot to school, his worn-out shoes a reminder of his struggle. But in all of it, there was one constant: his dream of escaping this cycle of poverty. He found hope in books and in his mentor, Mr. Okafor, a successful businessman who took him under his wing. Under Mr. Okafor's guidance, Michael worked after school, learning the ropes of business. It was in those small moments, hidden from the world, that Michael realized success wasn't about luck. It was about grit, discipline, and the unyielding will to rise above. Michael met Ruth during his late teens at a neighborhood wedding. While everyone else danced and laughed, Michael found himself drawn to her. Ruth was unlike anyone he had ever known, beautiful, kind-hearted, and unpretentious. They shared a quiet, private moment under the wedding's makeshift decorations, their hands brushing for the first time. It was a moment of stillness amidst the chaos, and in that moment, Michael felt something deep, a connection that transcended all the noise of the world around them. Ruth, too, saw something in Michael, his determination, his quiet strength. Over time, they fell in love, a bond that seemed unbreakable, founded on shared dreams and hard work. But as they got older, Michael's dreams of success took precedence. Long hours at the office, constant travel, and the ever-growing weight of responsibility began to create a rift. Ruth, once the center of his world, found herself increasingly alone. Yet, Michael remained blind to the growing distance, convinced that wealth and success would fix everything. As their relationship grew, Ruth began to voice concerns. "Michael," she'd say softly during their late-night dinners, "we're drifting apart." But he brushed it off, thinking that her longing for more time together was simply a fleeting concern. "I'm building a future for us, Ruth," he'd reply, believing his sacrifice would be worth it in the end. However, Ruth's best friend, Mary, offered a quiet warning: "Be careful, Ruth. You can only give so much before it starts to tear you apart." Ruth nodded, but deep down she feared she was already too far gone. The emotional strain was taking its toll, and Ruth's loneliness grew. Still, Michael pressed forward with his relentless ambition, unaware of the cracks forming beneath the surface. Ruth's pleas for connection fell on deaf ears, and as time passed, her heart began to change. Michael had always believed that Ruth was his greatest ally. He had made sacrifices for her, dreamed for her, worked for her. But as he stood in the doorway, watching his wife betray him with another man, everything he believed in crumbled. The man's name was Daniel, a colleague from Ruth's yoga class. Their relationship had started innocently enough, but over time, their bond deepened into something much more. The intimacy in their voices, the shared secrets, the affection, all of it was a sharp contrast to the emptiness Michael had felt for so long. Ruth's words echoed in Michael's mind, cutting through his consciousness like daggers. "I never wanted this life, Michael. I thought I could change him." The betrayal was not just physical but emotional, a deep wound to his sense of self-worth. After the crushing blow of betrayal, Michael withdrew from the public eye. The world thought he was broken, but in silence, he was already plotting his next move. With his trusted ally, Toby, Michael began to take back control. He shifted his assets, reorganized his businesses, and made strategic maneuvers that would leave Ruth with nothing. This wasn't just about money, it was about dignity, about reclaiming what he had lost. Ruth had taken everything from him, but Michael vowed to rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined. The world would see who he truly was. The courtroom drama was swift and brutal. Ruth, having thought she could claim a part of Michael's empire, was blindsided by the ruthless efficiency of his legal team. Every lie she told, every attempt to manipulate the situation, fell apart under scrutiny. Michael's legal victory wasn't just financial. It was a moral one. Ruth's betrayal had been exposed for the world to see, and the public perception of her crumbled. In the final moments, as the judge ruled in Michael's favor, there was no joy in his eyes, only quiet relief. The victory was his, but it was not the triumph he had once imagined. In the aftermath, Ruth's emotional collapse became apparent. She had lost everything: her wealth, her status, her sense of self. Her former confidence had been replaced by an empty shell. Michael, on the other hand, had found solace in small acts of kindness. Mary, who had supported him from the very beginning, became a quiet pillar in his life. Their bond grew stronger, built on mutual respect and understanding. Mary's kindness and empathy filled the space Ruth had left behind. Michael realized that true connection wasn't built on material wealth, but on emotional authenticity. With time, Michael found peace. In a small, intimate gathering with his mother, he introduced Mary, his new partner. It was not a grand gesture, but a quiet, meaningful one. The ceremony was simple, symbolic, a reflection of the inner peace Michael had found. As they sat together, surrounded by those who truly cared, Michael realized that everything he had gone through, the betrayal, the pain, the rise, had led him to this moment. The city of Lagos, loud and chaotic, faded into the background as Michael finally felt at home, not in the wealth he had accumulated, but in the love and connection he had found with Mary.